And so they're only taxing me $160.
You got to get in there and tell them this is inaccurate.
Yeah.
That's what I bought my house for 4.5 years ago. So why we paid $300 for a house.
You have a major fire.
So you replace the carpet and renovate it again. It's time to do it again.
It's literally just
Are you ready?
It's like the color we like. I'm falling apart. I'm like, all right. It's our summertime. And I was like, give me a year and a half. But it is funny that it was. But like, I would love to pay an extra $9.
We're talking taxes.
Yeah, so I could talk about it.
I know. Anyway, thank you for the
But then you
explanation.
got athletics, and then you got the guy who got fitness.
I'm not ready yet. Rich has got to sit down.
Whoa, all of it happened at once.
So we're doing the crest.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here and welcome to the July 16th, 2024 Logan Municipal Council Meeting. Happy summer. I am so pleased to introduce the individual who's giving us our opening ceremony tonight. It's Carol Folk, who is the chairperson for the Logan Tabernacle Interfaith Event Committee, which is part of Cash Community Connections. And Carol, come on up and share with us what's happening, and then please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, did you want me to say the prayer too?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Well, as she said, I'm Carol Folk, and I'm the chairperson of the Logan Tabernacle Interfaith Events Committee. And first I'd ask you please to bow your heads, if you would, and pray with me. Father in heaven, we thank you for the privilege we have to come together today. May your Spirit fill this room and rest in the hearts and minds of those gathered here. May those making decisions for this community treat each other with respect, and may they find common ground on challenges that can often divide them. For our government leaders, community, state, federal, and world leaders, may they be guided by your Spirit to make decisions that result in respect for life, and may hatred and violence not be the answer people look for in solving problems. We ask for peace in our world, and we ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, I want to talk about the summer noon concerts, which I'm excited about because they've been going fantastic. These interfaith events are sponsored by the Cash Community Connections and are funded in part by the RAPS tax. As our name indicates, our events are open to all, and we do especially welcome those in all walks of life to participate through attending the performances, announcing our programs, and offering the opening prayers and also greeting people. And our attendees are often help out in these capacities. We hope through we hope through getting to know others from different backgrounds, we can make a positive connection for our community. We have been able to meet the challenges of not having the tabernacle available for our performances these last 3 summers. We are grateful for the kindness of the bishops of the 1st and 2nd Ward Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We have been able to provide a beautiful venue for our concerts through them. The attendees for these concerts come with much enthusiasm and gratitude for the performers. Many don't miss one performance. We are truly blessed to have much talent in the Valley. Due to having the talent available that we do, it's important to provide top-notch performers, leaving the attendees to continue to want to come back, and they do. There are times when the church has been so full, we either have to turn people away or have them sit in the rooms on the side where they can hear but they can't see. I guess that's a good problem. With the tabernacle scheduled to be open for our next summer concerts, people are starting to climb over each other to try to get a chance to perform. I don't think anyone will be more happy to see those doors open than I will. Some quick stats for you. We've had a total of 41 performances with a total of 9,298 attendees, and we still have 10 more performances left. With more than 200 attendees per performance, I think that's pretty darn good, don't you?
Awesome.
The Plaza has provided another great venue. We've sponsored 4 performances at 6 o'clock on the Plaza. We're truly pleased with the turnout, and the Plaza has made a very positive impact on our visitors. Our 4 concerts there have resulted in attendance of 260, 192, 264, and on that hot day, this last Friday, we had 189. That's a total of 905, and we have one more concert on the Plaza, which will be the Salt Lake City Letter Carriers. It warms my heart to have the opportunity to interact with our performers, the announcers, and the summer citizens, and the community members who attend these concerts. I hope you will continue to see the importance of the Summer Citizens program and what it brings to Cache Valley. What a great way to make an impression on our visitors when we can show them they are important and we love having them here. Having only lived in Cache Valley for 10 years, it makes me proud to be part of representing our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
And now if you would stand and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Carol?
I might not know the answer, but I'll give you one.
I introduced one of the events on the plaza, and it really was delightful. Again, we had a great crowd, and so we appreciate you bringing talent to us for that venue, and I think it's worked out well.
I think it has too.
I believe I'm on for tomorrow.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I think I'm introducing tomorrow. So.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
No, not performing. Yes, it's not performing.
You can perform as well.
That's okay.
You might need to audition.
Yeah, I'll have to audition next time.
All right, at this time, I would accept a motion for acceptance of our minutes and approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll move acceptance of minutes and approval of the agenda for tonight.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our minutes are accepted and our agenda is approved. Just a reminder that Logan City Council meets every first and third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 here in the Logan City Council chambers, and our next meeting will be August 6th, 2024.
August.
From
It's crazy.
I know,
August
that's crazy.
already.
And that's for our council meeting. We do have another meeting earlier, but that's the next council meeting. At this time, we always open up the floor for questions and comments to the mayor and to the city council. If you do have something that you would like to share, you're welcome to come up to the podium. We would ask to make sure that you sign in, that you let us know who you are, where you live. Ask you to limit your time to 3 minutes and to please be mindful to be respectful and to also make sure that you're addressing something that is within the purview of the council or the mayor's office and staff.
Josh Malone from Logan. Welcome back.
Thanks, Josh.
I don't know if you guys read this in the paper, Saturday, July 13th this year, where Newton raised water impact fees by nearly $9,000 to support future development. I'm wondering, are we doing something similar to this to actually, to things that support future development? And yeah, because a lot of the things that I've seen were given waivers to developers where, we're catering to developers. And it's been a strain, and it is a strain on the citizens of Logan. I think this would be something that we should start to look at, is actually start charging developers that want to build here, that want to develop here, instead of, the excuse of, well, we need to pay them to come here, or like stores, we need to pay them to come here. We don't. I've learned that that's actually a con. And, just so that they can get whatever money they want, or from things, from RDA or whatever. But I think that also a tax, I've been thinking about this, taxation on real estate investment trusts in the city, I think would be a great idea. Because they literally, we brought them here, we have them now. I think that we should start taxing them, but make sure that they don't turn around and to put those funds, or turn it around on the renters. And I think establishing some renters' rights for people here in the valley, seems how everybody's rent has basically gone up by minimum 35%. So I think some renters' rights would be a good idea also. So, I thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
I'm Joanne Bennett from Logan, and I came to compliment Mike for voting against the tax increase. That's what we voted you for, so applaud to you.
Thanks, Joanne.
Anybody else care to address the council or mayor?
Gail Yost. I live on First East here in Logan, and not only is it difficult to get out of our driveway sometimes, but we also have people who don't respect the bike trails. And they use the bike trails to get further in and go turn right when they want to, and it just seems like we need to teach some respect or somehow get them to understand that those bike trails are very important. My brother-in-law, who passed away last year, used to use those bike trails going to and from the senior center because he had a recumbent tricycle. And it was so important for him to have that independence as long as he could. He was placed the year before he died in the Veterans Nursing Home in Ogden, where he died because he had dementia. But it was just so good for him to have that freedom. And can you imagine if he didn't have a little flag that was waving, how many times somebody could have just bumped into him because they couldn't see him from how low he was. It's really important to make that an effort. I know the police department does all it can, but they can't be everywhere at once. But I'm really upset because there are a lot of people who are using that, especially in the summertime. And the traffic, the drivers don't always show any respect for the bicyclists. So that's my little peeve.
Thank you, Dale. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, I will bring it back to the council and time for the mayor and staff reports. Mayor Daines.
Thank you. We have one reappointment for council to ratify and then one new appointment. The Civil Service Commission, we're asking you to reappoint Jeff Miller. He served in that role for quite some time. Again, it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time, but some expertise is good. So we would like to reappoint Jeff Miller. And on the Planning Commission, we did interviews for was it 5 or 6 individuals, had some good candidates and asked them a series of questions, and we are nominating Sarah McNamara to fill that position. Should council ratify that, that's my recommendation. So,
I'm assuming Jeff has agreed to be reappointed.
yes, and neither of those individuals were able to attend tonight, but they are willing to serve if ratified.
Any questions for the mayor or motions to ratify?
I move for ratification of those that have been nominated.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the ratification of Jeff Miller and Sarah McNamara, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's ratified.
Great, and the second item is, we'll ask Mark Montgomery to just give you a little bit more of an update. We did do this, I think, 4 weeks ago, just to let you know about the rate increase. Again, just wanted to make you aware of our thinking as we continue to analyze that and how it may affect the department. So just a brief update from Mark.
Yeah, I think I updated the UMs. Typically, we as a board do about a 3%, 2% budget increase for transmission every year, just because we know it's going to go up. And then Rocky Mountain Power dropped a 45% transmission increase on us, and that is largely due to losing billions of dollars in being found negligent in wildfires in the Northwest. And anyways, they're passing that cost on to their customers, which there's a whole lot of back and forths there that we don't need to get into. But I will say that we have, as UAMPS as a group has filed as an appeal through FERC to try and say, hey, 2% last year, 45% this year seems a little, and your costs for the transmission group was in the Pacific Core West section. We're served by the Pacific Core East section, so it's not even in the kind of the part of the grid that we're served by. Of course, they're going to go back and forth with that. But regardless, our estimates on what we've projected and forecast for our usage this year is, I believe, about $860,000 more in transmission fees. And I know we've spoken a little bit about doing a small rate increase to cover that. I think we're going to kind of pull back on that. We budget conservatively with our city budget, and then on top of that, we budget conservatively through UAMPS as well, so we kind of have a double conservative buffer there. And we're hoping that we can absorb that. However, that's not to say if we guessed wrong there, we might be looking at a surcharge to cover that, because we're going to hold back on that rate to see if we really need to do it.
Again, this announcement of the increase came right as our budget, we were presenting it to you, it was essentially finalized, so.
And the way it works is we have to pay it, and then if we get any traction with our appeals and other things, then they'll refund us, but we have to pay the bill out of the gate, so.
And Rocky Mountain Power is also proposed to the Public Service Commission, because that's where they're regulated, a 50% increase.
50? I thought it was 30.
30. Oh, my mistake. Thank you for the correction. 30 seemed large enough.
30 is
That's
really
I
sorry.
mean, I'm a Rocky Mountain Power customer. That's a lot.
So,
Yeah.
again, we'll see if the Public Service Commission gives them that entire amount, but, so.
Even if they do half, that's a
big
huge
increase.
increase.
So our 2% a year looks
2%.
pretty reasonable compared to, and again, maybe at some point we do have to come up another 1% to keep up with it, but we'll keep you posted. We just wanted to give you a little bit more of an update there.
Timeline, any thoughts on the timeline, and like how long does an appeal with FERC take?
Oh, it's a federal agency, so it'll be really fast. No, it'll be slow, and
It's a
then,
federal agency in an election year.
yeah, federal agency
Faster.
election year. And we're trying to do a full court press, right? UMPS also is talking with UMPA, which is a similar organization to UMPS in Utah, and they're talking about filing litigation papers just to kind of really pour the coals to Rocky Mountain Power and say, hey, you're doing a little too much here, but who knows? We just have to wait and see. But it probably won't be a fast process.
They have to keep their profit margin for their shareholders.
I could talk for an hour on that, but we won't.
We so enjoy you coming though, so
We like to take
if
advantage.
we'd like to know more, we're welcome to come and meet with you in your office, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. I'm happy to speak at any time. And I'm happy to come here anytime.
Again, so thank you, Mark. We just, again, wanted to give you a little bit of an update. If you have any other questions, visit with me as well, but
So last year we did the surcharge in the fall, correct? Did that hit?
Yeah, it was-
whenever the bills necessitate.
It was actually 2 years ago. We didn't do it last
Oh,
year.
it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Time flies.
It does. But that was implemented in the fall once the summer high rates.
Well, remember we had that really hot September, like
Yeah.
it just came out of nowhere and just killed us. I mean, power costs were ridiculous. And we were right before that heavy water year of last year, so there wasn't a lot of hydropower. Yeah, it was kind of a perfect storm for power rates.
But again, there does seem to be more power available, so even though we are seeing a lot of demand for temperatures, rates are staying, I mean, they're higher a little bit, but not totally unreasonable,
Yeah,
like
it's-
$1,000 per.
Yeah, but it's being made up by the 45% increase in transmission fees.
Well, yes and no. We don't buy power from Rocky Mountain Power.
Well, no, but they transmit it along
They do
the,
transmit it to
and
us.
so I said that the transmission cost added to the lower per kilowatt hour cost is
Yeah, kinda
making it be
offset
the
it.
same.
You're right.
So, great. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
I'm finished.
Thanks, Mayor Davis. Planning Commission, now we'll move on to council business. Jeannie, do you have a planning commission update for us?
Sure, I do. There were 2 items on Planning Commission last Thursday. One will come to us because it is a rezone request, basically, because the proponent would like to build storage units in the commercial services zone. It was denied by the Planning Commission, but it will come to us. And they also reviewed updates to the Hillcrest Neighborhood Plan. Those will not come to us till the middle of August, so we will also see those.
You said Hillcrest?
Hillcrest.
And that's available online if people want to look at it, right, Aaron? The draft of the Hillcrest plan, isn't that online?
Yep.
Yes, it is. I'll send it out to the neighborhood as well, being closer.
Okay, thanks. Anything else, Jeannie?
That's all for Planning Commission,
All right.
unless you want me to do my meetings.
I don't know, Mark, do you want to go first or should we let Jeannie go first?
Oh, I'll go first.
All right.
I'd love to. We're going alphabetically tonight.
All right, go ahead.
So it was kind of a slow month. Economic Development did not meet. Golf Board did not meet. Solid Waste Advisory Board did not meet. But we did have a really interesting meeting with UDOT and the Highway 8991 group, which was lively, to say the least. Wouldn't you agree, Jeannie? It's kind of lively.
Lively is a good word for it.
UDOT put forward 3 plans and concentrated mostly on a parallel corridor plan, which was really quite interesting. Some of the solutions they came up with to alleviate traffic on Main Street were very interesting. Different than things that we had talked about, but things that Public Works apparently have looked at, and they were very viable, so very possible. So we'll see how much traction they get with the legislature and see if they can help out with some of those plans. So
And I think they're planning a public meeting
Yeah.
in August to get feedback from the public as well. We don't have a date yet, but that's what, everything seems to get pushed back, so maybe it'll be
I was-
September, but they're aiming for August.
I was very encouraged with what UDOT was willing to do to help out our downtown and our Main Street. So it was great. That's it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Jeannie always has
Okay.
a long list.
Gina had a slow month too. Only 10 things.
I participated in the interviews for Planning Commission. We did those in a series of 3. I also went to the Highway 8991 study meeting. Lively is a good word. I believe that,
I just said the good parts. So.
yeah, well, no, it was the alternatives, some of the alternatives that they presented were extremely interesting and viable,
Yeah.
but also would require us to be really on it because of development patterns and things like that.
Could be a little painful to do
It could
some.
be, but
Yeah.
it also could be a little painful for the lively people when we slow down traffic on downtown. But I think that UDOT is committed to the pavement. The reason we're doing all of this study to begin with is because the pavement is deteriorating and they have to replace the street. So in the process of replacing the street, they wanted us to have the opportunity to vision and think about what it could be instead of just lanes of traffic.
Yeah.
So, in addition to that, the Airport Authority Board met, and the Airport Authority Board presented the results or the report from the consultant who evaluated the airport. It has many, many questions and many, many challenges facing our airport. In anticipation of that, I was asked to serve on the airport fee subcommittee. So I met with 2 other members of the Airport Authority Board twice to analyze fees at airports around the state and for ground leases for hangars and landing fees and things like that. And we made recommendations that we sent to the county attorney for review before they come to the Airport Authority Board. So that's one step in I anticipate a multi-step conversation to maintain viability at the airport. It has always, as long as I've been on the Airport Authority Board, one of the things that they have done consistently is try to do things with the least amount of money they can get away with. And I think we've finally reached the tipping point where if we don't start spending some money on the airport, it's going to not be the airport we want it to be. For instance, we have to spend several $1 million, isn't it, to maintain the 139 certification?
Well, there's some question about if we really have to, I mean, that was his recommendation if we did all those new snow removal equipment and so on. So
Right.
again, we're kind of negotiating through some of his recommendations.
Well, the 139,
Yeah.
though, weren't there specific things that were stated that would cost, that needed to be done?
That's debatable. So as we're talking about, again, some of the snow removal and
Well, I didn't know, okay, that's,
the ARP equipment, and they think, so remains to be seen. But one of the other major things he said we should address is the governance. I mean, he doesn't think it works well to have a joint governance of city and county. So again, that's one of the lists to have a discussion, one item on the list to have a discussion about, to see.
and I think it's unfortunate that we can't, that there does not seem to be a vehicle within the state regulations that would allow the airport to operate independently or tax or do anything independently. It really has to be sponsored by either a county or a city.
Taxing agency.
Because even Salt Lake International is part of Salt Lake City. It's not an independent entity. So, but the 139 certification is for landing jets, like when football teams come in. Okay. And so we have to have certain things to maintain that certification. And so that's also on the docket to talk about. In addition to that, I had a check-in meeting with Rayanne about the Adams neighborhood and where we were. I went to 2 CMPO safety meetings and an executive meeting, planning commission, and then I had a conversation today with some individuals about short-term rentals. So, appreciate that.
All right, the last piece of council business is just to announce that we will be holding the Truth in Taxation meeting on Thursday, August 1st, here in the Logan City Council chambers at 6 o'clock. Just a reminder that Utah operates under a truth in taxation law that's a revenue-based limitation. I did notes to make sure I say this correctly, just so people understand when we do that. So it means that as our property values increase, our property tax rates decrease. It guarantees that a taxing entity gets the same property tax revenue as the previous year, including new growth. So plus new growth. So as our tax rate doesn't rise unless we actually raise the rate. And so that's what we're going to be discussing on August 1st. So just so y'all know, so when the annual adjustment that the Cache County auditor does, or assessor does for your taxable property rates to keep pace with that, with all the rising property values, the rate actually here goes down automatically. So that's called it's the automatic reduction in property tax, and it prevents us from getting more tax simply because property values went up. So we have to be really clear that we'd like more revenue and what the reason is and what that rate is going to be. So that's what we're going to be discussing on August 1st. Just a reminder that we're proposing a certified property rate of 0.000965. And that increase is 3.35% for the general fund and 5% for the library fund. The total additional revenue would be $81,561 for the general fund and $126,283 for the library. And just a reminder that we have not increased the general tax levy fund since 2010 or the library property levy rate since 2017. So anything else we should add on that, Rich? Okay, so.
Other than that meeting that we hold on August 1st, there are two things on the agenda. They're the only two things we can discuss at all. And that is the property tax rate and then adopt the budget or not. We kind of have to.
Yep.
We have to adopt something.
But again, state code, I mean, they say what time you have to do it. It has to be a totally separate meeting. So again, that Thursday is an unusual meeting. The time is different, but that is mandated by the state.
So maybe we'll see you all there on August 1st.
$1.56
Yeah.
per person.
Dollar and, so I think it's what, $10? 10, what's, let me pull it up.
It's pretty minimal.
That's it.
So it would be on a $505,000 residence, it would increase $10.56 per year from $257.47 to $268.03. And for a business, it would be about a $19.19 increase. So, all right. We will now move on to our action items. The first is a consideration of a resolution endorsing changes to the wastewater pretreatment ordinance. This is resolution 24-28. Craig, do you want to walk us through this one? This has been going on for like 85 years.
Close.
I feel like.
It might be helpful to walk through the process.
Yes, please do.
So as you mentioned, the council first started looking at this ordinance in 2023, sent the proposed changes to the wastewater pretreatment ordinance to the Division of Water Quality. They gave a look at it over time, gave a preliminary approval, and sent that preliminary approval back to the environmental department and asked for a couple of things. One of the things they asked for is a statement from the city council endorsing the changes to the ordinance. So that's what this resolution is, just a statement saying we're endorsing the changes to this ordinance. That will be sent back to the state. They're required to have a public comment period for 30 days to get any input from the public on this change, and then it'll come back to us to pass the ordinance, or back to the council to pass the ordinance. So the state told me that they're required to have a 30-day comment period. They usually push it to 40. So the ordinance, the next item B, we talk about more, but that could be pushed to November safely. So that's essentially the process.
All right. Any questions for Craig on this? This is not a public hearing. This is just an action item.
Well, this started before I was here. So what changes am I endorsing tonight? Can I ask that?
So Issa's here.
Sorry, you guys have probably all covered this, but as I have not, I apologize. I'm going to ask that question.
Good question.
Good question.
Good question, yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Isa.
I wish we highlighted the areas, but if you don't have a highlighted ordinance, we will walk through some of the changes we've made. Jim will do that.
Thank you.
This is an existing ordinance to begin with, and most of the changes are very minor. except one that we actually included it after we found one particular business that was continuously violating some of our requirements to make it more difficult for them to continuously violate.
Can you speak just a little bit louder?
Yes. Sorry. I'm generally a loud person, but, so we requested one additional change to be made from our end. Other than that, this is as a result of the state auditing our ordinance and our program in general. Pre-treatment program is our first line of defense for the wastewater treatment plant. And that's where we identify potential problems. And it is also intended to safeguard the collection system. So facilities that discharge a lot of grease that will eventually plug the lines and that kind of things, or industries that also discharge harmful materials. That's what this ordinance is intended to prevent. We permit those businesses through permit, we regulate them. So Jim will identify the locations where we make changes. Do you have a copy of the ordinance with you?
Yes, it's in our packet.
Go ahead.
Sure, yeah, like Issa said, all of these were either required or recommended by DWQ, except for 1312-280, that would be the administrative fines. We currently have the ability to use administrative fines in enforcement actions. However, because of some enforcement actions over the past few years, we didn't feel like the current amount that we could charge was quite enough to really get attention necessarily. So this change creates a new category for a potential, what is called a chronic violator. And if they qualify for a chronic violator, which is deemed by the environmental director, that administrative fine amount is significantly higher.
Is that because it's cheaper to pay the fine than it is to dispose of the material?
Sometimes, yes, it is. I mean, typically, once you come with a fine, that begins the negotiations, and as we negotiate with them, based on their response, we can lessen that fine and allow them to apply that cost to updates or whatever they may need to do so. But we feel like this new section will allow us to have a little more leverage with certain industries who are maybe truly need that extra motivation.
I like that.
The difference is, in terms of dollars, violation in general, it was $1,000 a day.
Yes.
Chronic violation is 10,000. So,
That gets your attention.
Yes, it should.
Do we often have chronic violators?
No.
Previously?
This particular business that resulted these changes, I think I'll consider them chronic. But they have also done their best to do improvements, and they're working on their system.
Right. In my 20 years in pretreatment, we've only used administrative fines twice. And those are in the past 5 years with the same person, so, same industry rather. So.
That answers my question.
It's a good percentage, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so any other questions on resolution 24-28, which is endorsing the changes?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay, I would entertain.
I will move to approve resolution 24-28.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further conversation? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 24-28 passes. Now we will talk about ordinance 23-31, which is what Lisa just addressed. And we do have this scheduled as a public hearing. So I would open up the floor to anybody who would like to come and speak to ordinance 23-31. which is this lovely, 45-page document
It's kind of long.
that addresses.
But does this document has not yet been approved,
Right, so we're going to need to,
so we're going to have a
We're gonna have
public
to-
hearing, but then we're going to have to continue it?
correct, right.
Okay,
'cause this-
thank
we
you.
continued the public
Until
hearing till
November.
today
Okay.
originally.
November, correct, Craig? You said
Yeah.
November.
But we continued the public hearing to today, so we're still holding the public hearing
Okay.
today. Once we close this public hearing, then we can discuss the continuing deferral of the action on it and whether or not that will also be with the public hearing at that point.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So again, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come to speak to ordinance 23-31, you are welcome to come do so.
I'm now speaking as Dr. Yost, and I asked questions at the last meeting, and I was satisfied that there's enough training for all the workers within these new parameters, that they have to have the training in order to know how to handle certain customers or certain requests that are inappropriate, and how to stave that off if they need to. And I was satisfied that the training is going on. Whether or not a customer is going to listen is another story, because that's a certain independent freedom. But still, I was very satisfied that the training is there so that the sale of alcohol won't be misused or abused.
That's our next one, Gail. That's our next ordinance.
Oh, I thought that was
This
here.
is-
This is sewer.
This is the other
sewer.
one? I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you had already gone to the other one.
No.
Oh,
That's all right.
the public hearing for the ordinance regulating sewers?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we need that. Let me tell you, we need that. But really,
think we
I
agree.
thought it had gone already
No,
because it's continued.
It's a two-part one, yeah. We did the resolution, and now we're doing the public hearing from the continuation to today, and then we're going to have to continue it again because of the state
Continued
rules.
public hearings usually don't ask for any more public input. So I thought we were at the
No,
next one.
that's-
Excuse me for
That's okay.
being
You can come
dense
back
today.
up. You can come back up when we're talking about 2413.
Yep.
So
Okay, so now you got both opinions.
there you go. Anyone would like to speak to ordinance 23-31? I'll then close the public hearing. As we already discussed, because of the state 30 to 40 day public comment period, we are not in a position where we can vote to approve this tonight, so we are looking for a motion to continue this to one or the other of our November meetings.
If they're 19th, Craig.
The 19th would give us a
Little bit more time.
buffer just in case,
Okay.
but it's up to the council. She told me November would be fine either one.
I'll move to continue ordinance 23-31 until November 19th
With or without a public hearing?
without.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of continuing ordinance 23-31 to the November 19th, 2024 meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved and accepted. All right. We do have
Now we get Aaron.
now, yes, so we do have two more public hearings. This one is on ordinance 24-13, which is a consideration of a proposed ordinance amending section 5.10 of the Logan Municipal Code on alcoholic beverages. And this is a correction.
This
of
is.
something that accidentally got left out.
Correct. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council. Yeah, so this is a correction. We extensively reviewed the alcohol ordinance back in February. However, one of the sections that was intended by staff to be moved and retained was deleted. So this ordinance reinstates that deleted section. It's the bar limitation section, 1 bar per 10,000 population. So that is, we'll place it officially back in the code. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's not changed.
It's not changed. It's the exact same as it was prior to the amendment. in February, it just reinstates it.
Otherwise, we could have had
And-
as
and-
many bars as we
Right, it was
wanted.
not staff's intention to delete it, it was staff's intention to move it to its nice new home in 5, 10, 220. But, but in all that red line that we did, this one didn't get moved to its proper spot.
Thanks for catching it.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
That's nice new home, we can charge that.
Any questions?
Because we'd have to.
No chastisement for Aaron.
No
right?
hookup fees.
Only scope of.
I
Come to
think
some
it's just
locations.
like, it's a good thing we caught it.
Exactly. All right. Since there's no questions, I will open this up as a public hearing. Anyone who'd like to come and speak to ordinance 24-13, this proposed amendment, reinstating the consent to have a state bar establishment license based on 1 per 10,000 population, please come and speak to it. State your name, where you live. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and bring this back to council for action. Don't know, jump up at once.
I'll move acceptance of ordinance 24-13.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I know, it's like,
All those in favor of ordinance 24-13, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, ordinance 24-13 passes. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Good catch.
yeah.
Our next public hearing is an application to the Council of Governments for the funding cycle for street improvement projects at 1,000 North, and 600 West, and 1,400 North and 200 East. Thank you for being here, Sam.
Yes, thanks,
Appreciate
council.
it. So this is only a public hearing, this is not an action item.
Correct. I think we go through this every year, but the Cache County Council of Governments is, the mayors get together and we have funding for road projects. It's funded through a 0.25% sales tax that was passed by the county back in 2007. Each year, the last couple of years, we've been getting $6 to $7 million for countywide projects. To apply and receive funds, you have to follow the Transportation Fund Program Manual. That was extensively redone this year. A lot of new requirements. A requirement we've had before is to have a public hearing. They've very specifically detailed 3 bullet points that we have to address at this meeting. The general concept of the project, estimated cost of the project, and the sponsoring jurisdiction's financial responsibility if we do get the grant. So that's what I'm going to address tonight. The first project we're applying for is the intersection of 10th North, 6th West. If you've been watching our projects over the last 5 to 10 years, we've been doing all these along the railroad. This is the next one. Similar to 14th North and 18th North at 6th West, we'll be widening the intersection, improving the railroad crossing. Right now, our estimated preliminary cost is $5 to $6 million. We're still, one of the changes they allowed this year in this program, we used to have plans ready for construction before we could apply for money. They've changed it this year. We can apply for money at a much earlier stage. So our plans aren't as complete, our cost estimates aren't as complete. So these numbers may change when we do the final project, but this is our best guess right now.
Right now, it's 30% plans where they used to require 90%,
Yes.
so it's,
So there's a big difference. So that's hence my wiggle room. I get uncomfortable putting numbers up on screens, but I have to.
Yeah.
5 to 6 million for our estimated cost. We have requested 3.2 million from the COG this year. And so our match, at minimum, we'd have to do 8%, which is 260,000. Our match is usually higher. I'm expecting us to match it closer to 2 million. That'd be about 40%.
And that match is already in the budget.
Yes, so this money specifically is approved in this fiscal year and previous fiscal years, so we have this money now.
And
compared to other projects, we tend to have just bigger, more expensive projects. So again, we tend to put in more match. We also have kind of more funding available than a lot of the other cities, but it used to be the higher match you provided, you actually got a little more credit for it. They've removed that, but I still think the other folks that are voting on it, the other mayors, sort of look favorably if you do have a higher match. So
Yes, agreed.
I'm assuming that estimate cost is fairly accurate based on the fact that we've done 2 similar intersections recently?
Correct, yes. 14th North was closer to 7 million, 18th North was less than 7 million. So yeah,
And the railroad's willing to work with us this time?
yes.
That's good.
And UDOT has a railroad guru, I don't know what you call him now.
Ombudsman.
Ombudsman, there.
It's a word I learned this year.
We have met
We're not
with
gonna
him already
mark
at the airport. We were his first client,
Oh,
so.
Just a quick little map to just show you the project's extent. So the main focus is 6th West, 10th North, but then each direction of the intersection, we need to tie it in. And then 10th North between 8th West and 6th West, it was built out by development over the last couple of years. And so we're just gonna finish that. So that whole corridor from 10th West to 6th West is complete. The correct width, the correct size.
When you talk about railroad improvements, are you talking about a light?
Yes, there'll be a traffic light.
a double light
Double light?
with those fancy ones that you can only see from a certain angle.
I don't know if this one requires, this one is our closest with the tracks, so it's closest to the intersection.
Okay.
So I don't know if we'll have to have the double light. That's one of the things that the railroad is still telling us.
So
This is
some of
it.
this funding for property acquisition as well, or is all of that in place already?
Yes, this funding could be used for right-of-way acquisition, yes. We aren't specifically requesting it for that, but we're asking for the project in general, we can use it for that.
And this is a sort of unrelated question. That apartment complex on the northeast corner of that intersection, that fourplex that's right there, is that probably coming down?
We are trying our best to make sure that we give it space. So I don't know yet. Again, another problem of not having full plans. But we have told our designers a priority is to
Try to keep it.
limit that acquisition.
I mostly asked my wife and I lived in that complex when we were newly married. It's a very noisy intersection to live on. It was
I believe that's
very affordable.
Yes. We would like to stay away from it,
No,
but
you
we'll
cannot.
see.
We did not love it there. It's
Okay.
a noisy intersection.
Yes. any other
Could I
questions?
ask, this is a question that's not related to this particular project, but is related to 14th North.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, just north of that intersection on 6th West, there were trees in the park strip. Now there are weeds. Is there a possibility that we could put trees back?
I'm not quite sure where we're talking, but I will look, and if Aaron's going to correct me if I'm wrong, I hope he's here. Property owners are required to maintain their park strip, and so
Property owners are required to plant the park strip?
to maintain that park strip.
Well, that was the case.
Yeah.
The trees had been watered and there was a water system in there and everything, but the trees came out when the project.
When the
was done.
1400 North project?
Yes,
Okay, I'll look into it, I'm happy to look into it. I'm not,
I would appreciate it.
yeah, we can look into it.
You're not gonna say plant more
Thank you.
trees?
Plant more trees.
The second project
That was my platform.
is actually technically not a Logan City project. North Logan City has applied for this funding. But another requirement of the funding is that if it touches another jurisdiction, we have to have a public hearing as well. So 200 East from 1350 North to 1800 North. This is
But 1350 is us.
so correct. So Culver's to the roundabout at 800 North. North Logan is kind of spearheading this project. They've asked us to be a part of it, and we will be paying for our part of the project in Logan City. But again, this is a North Logan City application, so when it goes to the COG, it will be championed by North Logan City.
Okay.
The estimated total cost of the project is $8 million. The total cost in Logan City boundaries right now is estimated at $2 million. North Logan has requested $7 million from the COG, and that would be split proportionally by the city boundary with Logan City and North Logan. So we're expecting our obligation to be much smaller on this project. $160,000 would be our match, is what we're expecting right now. You'll note this is not in this current fiscal year's budget. It's actually planned for fiscal year 29. So a couple years out. You may see us bump this up to fiscal year 28 in next fiscal year, depending on North Logan's schedule. But we're committing that it's in our 5-year plan at this point, basically.
So basically, the North Logan part is from the back door to Walmart?
Yes, so this red line is the city boundary. So everything south, the bottom of the screen of that red line is Logan City's part, and then their project continues to the north to the roundabout. They're installing a traffic light behind Walmart at 1600 North. So there'll be a traffic light there, and improvements to the intersection at 14th North.
It'd be nice if they put a big median in the middle so people can't turn left to the back door of Walmart.
That's my favorite.
So that's kind of the scope.
So our budget for that is 2 million.
Our portion would be 2 million.
Portion.
Where that COG block will cover part of it.
Okay.
And so we're expecting our Logan City's cash contribution to be 200,000 or less.
Okay. That makes me
Again,
feel better.
early numbers, it could change, but right now, based on the numbers I have, this is where we're at. And we don't have the money available until right now, fiscal year 29.
So is
Till
North
29.
Logan thinking that it's going to end up putting in $1 million?
North Logan will need to put in 8% of their $6-ish million, yes. Again, we're kind of working through the kinks of having to go to these numbers so early without having plans and solid numbers.
But this would end up in budget year 29.
This will be in budget year 29 when we actually have the funds available.
And they're doing additional development on this road north of 1800, correct? Is in that big farm field? Is that part of
I'm not sure.
Logan's?
Well, no, they've done the road, though.
No, like, if they're putting in buildings and things in that area. Isn't that where their new library is going and all of that?
No,
They're not moving the library.
They're not
No, their
moving
new city offices are in 2500 north between 4th and 6th.
Right next to the library.
Okay, so that, nothing's planned for that.
I think the parcel you're talking about is owned by IHC, actually.
Okay.
And I'm not aware, but
Okay, all right, yes, I just,
yeah.
you hear things, I'm clarifying it in public so that you know whether it's true or not.
We can't speak to North Logan's plans.
Okay.
Any questions I can answer on any of those?
So obviously that one's 4 years out. How is this going to, are there changes happening to further south on 200 East in our plans between now and then?
That is why it's in fiscal year 29. That's when we were planning to do our portion from
Okay.
1250 north to 14th north, kind of that area.
Okay.
So,
North
I
Logan
know
still
we're-
have to do they still need to do property acquisition on many pieces. So our assumption is it's going to be a while down the road.
yes.
But they apply for it now, and so does COG obligate that far ahead?
No, COG has a requirement that you must, that's new this year, that you have to spend it, Mayor, correct me, within 2 years of award.
Unless you get a waiver to explain why that needs to take longer, which we suspect this one will.
Yeah, we're suspecting that North Logan's going to request a waiver to make it, to give them a longer timeline.
But again, it kind of need to know they have the funding to go ahead and get the right of way. So this is a little squishy in terms of timetable.
But we think our development changes south of this will be done prior to this or happening at roughly the same time?
I would say either the same time or ours will be done following this.
Okay.
So if you go back to the numbers slide, if our share is 2 million, which is 25% of 8 million, how do we conclude that our minimum is 8%?
I don't know if it's exactly 25%.
8%?
8% of 2 million should be close to 160 if I earn my engineering degree. I hope.
I'm just kidding. 10%.
The minimum is 8%. North Logan has said that they don't have the funds to commit any more than 8%, so their application is going to be the minimum 8% amount. And so we'll just be tied to that same minimum 8%. So
160 is not 8% of
It's 8% of 2 million.
Our share of our 2 million application, not the full.
sorry.
You earn your degree.
Yeah, right on.
You are right
So
on.
the COG would have to provide the remainder.
The COG, North Logan's plan is for the COG to provide the 7 million. Logan City would provide the 160,000, and North Logan City would have to provide that difference.
140,000.
Yeah, 800,000 or so to get their match.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You weren't expecting as many questions, I'm
No,
sorry.
this is great.
This is great.
And like I say, the requirement is we just need to have a public hearing on these projects.
All right, so I will, you ready? Want me to open the public hearing? So I'd like to open the public hearing for discussion of the application to COG for the funding cycle for street improvement projects for 2024.
I just want to get some things straight. So this is the 14th North, 2nd East, going in front of Mount Logan Middle School.
Right by Culver's.
I mean,
This is from-
same street, but further north.
Yeah, 1350 north.
So Culver's is in the right-hand corner there, right there, and it goes north from there.
Okay, so this
Towards the
is,
Sports Academy and the
okay, so
roundabout.
this is heading north.
Yeah.
Okay, but anything heading south, you were stating that nothing heading south, like the other way, when is that stuff supposed to be?
Well, this is an application to COG for funding. So doesn't mean that other things won't happen. This is just the application for those funds to come for this specific project, because North Logan is working on it, so it's been extended down to that area. But it doesn't mean that there's not other projects that could happen. This is just the project that's seeking the COG funding.
Yeah, because I'm worried about anything going south because of what the mall project, because, the traffic. And so that's one of my main concerns. Yeah, going up north, there's massive traffic, that something needs to be done there.
Yeah.
But also heading south, especially with, the amount of traffic that's going to be added because of the mall project.
And part of that project was a commitment by the city to install a traffic light and straighten out the intersection at 1250 North, which then turns into Cache Valley Boulevard. But again, entirely different project.
Yeah.
I don't know the schedule on that.
But the traffic lights don't diminish the traffic themselves, they just break them up. So, all right, I was just trying to get some, thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Anyone else like to speak? It's a public hearing on the Council of Governments funding. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Thank you, Sam, for your presentation and your willingness to answer questions.
And your engineering.
And your math skills, your mad math skills. All right.
Checked on it.
That ends our action items for this evening. We'll now move on to our workshop items. And what a surprise, Rich Anderson already has a budget adjustment.
Already?
Already, the budget was perfect almost.
This is resolution 24-29.
The request to appropriate $1,000 that was donated toward the youth sports program. I'd like to change it from baseball to sports. I apologize. I think it is to be used for baseball, but I don't want to guarantee that. I want to say youth sports. $85,000 for the state task force. We get this each year, and request to appropriate $7,270 of police forfeitures toward police equipment. These are guns that are sold to buy guns.
Buy other guns. More guns.
Any questions for Rich or for Chief?
For anybody, could you define what reduce, prevent, and investigate drug usage means?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that is the actual language in the grant.
Well, I know, that's why
What he
I'm.
does with it, maybe a little bit.
Oh, I see.
Let's see what he
Okay.
does with it.
Yeah, so it funds the 85,000. It's a grant we've gotten for the last several years, exact same amount. So it funds the task force. We have 4 full-time officers. That includes 1 sergeant, and Cache County also gives us 1 full-time employee. And their job is strictly to hunt drug distributors throughout the valley. Not only this valley, but also in Rich County as well.
So they're not doing anything about reduce and prevent?
No, that part of the grant is that, and so we'll hook up with the, it used to be NewSAP, but they've changed their names. Anyway, we provide some preventative funding to them too, so it'll provide like messaging in schools. If you go into the gyms in schools, you'll see anti-drug messaging, you'll see it sometimes, even at USU, you'll see it on steps, and there's a number of other things that we can fund for that, but a lot of it is funded through, for enforcement too, so.
So it's mostly enforcement? Okay,
Yeah, enforcement equipment, stuff that we need for that, so, yeah.
okay.
So we've been
thank you.
doing that for several years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on then to Resolution 24-27. Mike, can you walk us through the intent to adjust our municipal boundaries?
Sure. So this is our current status down here in the southern part of Logan, 2200 South, State Highway 8991. There's this property or these parcels that are right here that are in Logan. Nibley is on the south side of that, and then south going along the highway. So the existing city boundary wraps around these properties. This site was a subject of a rezone last year. It came to the council, was denied. They in turn went to Nibley. They've worked out a deal with Nibley to go to Nibley. This is the charter school just to the south. Now you see these little boundaries are kind of weird. They did a boundary line adjustment with the charter school a few years ago when the previous owner had this, and they adjusted the boundary line to go straight across. The charter school needed more land for playground space as well as parking, but at that time the city did not adjust the city boundary for whatever reason. So the request is to modify the boundaries to go up and around that, basically follow the center line of 200 South and come down the highway, and then this would go into Nibley. These are the properties that are involved. There's basically these three are the primary ownership that's kind of driving this. We've told them that they need to get these involved, which they have. They've reached out to those owners, and then this is also the cleanup area of the charter school. And this is what it would look like. This is just a full flat document. So, any questions?
So those three property owners have already consented that they agree with it?
They've been notified. I don't know if they've agreed to it yet or not. I haven't heard one way or the other.
Okay.
So, Mike, this is a little bit of I guess it's a random question, but we denied that project because, in part, because of the people in Nibley being not happy about it. I mean, that was part of the entire picture. We got a lot of pushback from Nibley residents that they wanted single-family housing. But I assume that the owners of the property have come to some resolution that meets their needs?
I don't know that for certain. The project that Nibley has looked at, and they have recorded an agreement to annex, and it's generally the same project that we had in front of us that we had denied. I don't think it's gone through their public process yet, so I don't know what the reception will be from folks down there.
Okay.
And the bulk of the comments we got were, well, not only Nibley residents, but also parents and administrators of the school.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They were concerned about
very
a four-story
unhappy with
apartment next to their school.
It was very, they were very concerned. So, well, it's okay. I mean, it's not.
It was a mixed use, yeah. It was a mixed use. I liked the project,
Yeah, it was a good project.
but it had some issues. Yeah, it had some issues. So.
Part of the issue on our standpoint, from our city's perspective, is this provision of services. There's a sewer line, a pressurized sewer line that runs through part of their property and then up and then up. And the question is whether we have the ability to service this site from a sewer perspective. And in talking to Paul Linhart about it, it's probably easier for both cities if Nibley actually services it. So that's one of the drivers. And we've talked about this area for a number of years about just striking the boundary out, making it easier for all of us to administer.
But if the individuals along the highway don't agree, those three properties, that'll change that boundary some.
Well, what we don't want to do, so they had sent the city a request to disconnect. I think you got that back in March, maybe? I know your names were on it, we got it. And what we told them was, under state law, we really couldn't agree to that because it did leave those little residual parcels along the highway and then also this little weird area on the south side. State law says you can't create an island or peninsula. You want to avoid that. So we proposed to them is let's just do a boundary adjustment between us and Nibley to clean up the boundary. They have enough land area and enough value that they being the larger landowners can pretty much drive the bus, and the smaller landowners would have to follow along.
Okay.
But I haven't heard from them, and I don't know if they're interested or not. Part of our agreement between us, Nibley, and the landowner was that they were going to reach out to these owners to let them know. We were going to do some of the noticing and the advertising, so we'll see.
I would hate for them to all of a sudden find out they're in Nibley.
Yep. I think it's fair to them to let them know this is what's coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
So this is just a workshop on the resolution. This sets us up to say, okay, we agree to explore it. We agree to have the conversation. Once we do the public hearing, just the resolution, then we start a minimum 60-day notification process. So we'll notify those owners as well as the owners around it. We'll notify all the affected entities, so the school districts, fire departments, mosquito district, water district, things like that. And then they'll come back to you in an ordinance format sometime in, August, September? So.
And that, the property, or I'm sorry, the city boundary line runs through the middle of 2200 South, so we own the north half of it and they have responsibility for the south. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, as a general policy, we want to run that down the center line so that each city has their side of it, so we're not questioning who has the right to authorize a landowner to access it. Plus, maintenance, we can work out a maintenance agreement where we share half. The state highway, the current boundary runs on the east side of the highway going down. That's not as important to us as it is, at least in the center line of 23rd South.
I wish we could do the exchange for that little piece of Nibley that's on the other side of the highway.
Oh, where Bullfrog is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried.
We tried to do the entire area. It's been a few years.
Yep.
Wasn't successful. Now we're doing it piecemeal, and that's just what we'll have to do. So, any more questions?
I have one that's sort of been asked, but, so they brought a project, I wasn't here, to the council. Council denied it.
Well, it went to
It was a
PC
rezone.
first. It was
Okay,
a rezone.
but it was a rezone. The project was denied because.
The rezone was
The
denied.
rezone was denied because of.
Sorry not to be particular,
No,
but
I
we don't
appreciate-
approve projects.
You're
so
right.
it's
I
a
agree.
rezone. Yeah.
Why did we deny the rezone?
Because it's zoned commercial and they wanted to go mixed use, and it didn't really fit
Can have housing along Main Street.
The school
The main-
wasn't, the school was very
and the
concerned.
school was.
The school was very concerned and we didn't want housing along along the highway.
Yeah.
And now they basically want to annex it to Nibley and do the same project, roughly.
Yeah, Nibley gets
Nibley gets it.
Does that change our perspective of what's happening on that section of, does my question make
Are
sense?
you asking if we can say no?
Well, no,
I'm asking if there's a reason to say no.
I'm not sure we can say no.
Oh, okay.
But we
I
can
don't know.
say no. We have the right. It's in our jurisdiction to say no. They can.
Is there a good reason to say no?
Well,
I guess is my question. Not I'm looking for one, I'm just.
Yeah, the underlying issue with the rezone was our future land use plan map shows this as commercial. And they wanted to deviate from commercial to primarily a mixed, mixed use, but really it was multifamily.
It was mostly residential.
They really wanted to do housing there.
It didn't have.
And we as a city said, no, our policy is we want to go with commercial in that corner. So.
Okay. So it's not a big reason to say no. We would have just preferred commercial there.
No,
Nibley
that was a good decision to say no because our plans call out for commercial. So, and quite frankly, multifamily housing.
I guess there's not a big reason to say no on this. There was a good reason for the rezone.
Everything's always up in the air, but from our perspective, it makes good sense to have a square boundary when you're talking between cities.
We also, so Mike, we had some discussions with Nibley 5-6 years ago.
It's
at
been a few years,
least
yeah.
about
Yeah.
just adjusting everything in this area because there were so many.
Because it's ridiculous.
Things. And this was actually part of the original discussion, was that this would be the border here. So from my perspective, it makes sense because police, fire, and as Mike said, sewer, and it's easier for them to access sewer from the Nibley side for this parcel, so.
So down further south, where Bullfrog is, that is Nibley,
Right.
that little section across the road, so.
Yeah. on the
It
north
ends
side.
up being this very odd.
Yeah, it is odd.
Thing.
Yeah, Ted's is in Logan, and there's a couple other parcels as you go
Right.
north that's in Logan, and those, there's a few of them that are actually in process where the owners are gonna come back in and ask to change the boundary just on their 3 parcels. We did it on the old dairy farm, the old farm just further up, that went through on an individual basis. So we tried to do it holistically, but it just didn't work, so here we
Yeah,
are.
I'm not hunting for a reason to say no, I'm just exploring both sides. So that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, anything else for Mike? All right, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I like that project, but
Our last workshop item, get to, the charming Isa Hamoud gets to return to the microphone. This is a workshop on resolution 24-26.
Along with Tyler Richard.
Great. And charming Richard too.
Hello again.
Tyler's in charge of the computer.
don't let him do it.
We're going to go over with you tonight the rate adjustment proposal we have for solid waste collection and disposal. And the reason we're proposing this, or you're receiving this proposal, is because we've separated from the county last year. And the last increase rate adjustment we had was 2018. So in fact, before the separation, we was contemplating doing a rate adjustment. But after the separation, it just made it very clear to us that we needed to do this. Primarily, even though we have one big solid waste enterprise fund, our programs are divided now. In the past, it was just one that services for the entire county. Now it's divided into 2 shared facilities with everyone. Those are the 2 landfills, compost facility, transfer station, household hazardous waste. Those are shared with everyone in Cache County.
Meaning they can bring their
Yes.
waste to those facilities, not that
Yes.
they own it.
Thank you.
Shared usage.
Shared usage. Perfect. The other program, which is the collection system, is entirely for Logan City now. It only serves Logan City, and there are some other ancillary services we provide, such as mosquito payment and forestry. Those 2 are lumped with the collection. So the collection fees also provide the services for those 2. So what you will see today is that separation. Costs for the shared use facilities that should fund themselves similar to a separate enterprise fund, even though they are not. And then the collection program to fund themselves. So we've done that separation, calculated it, and the numbers and how it's been done, Tyler will share that with us.
Good evening, council. So we began this project in first part of the year. So we hired a consultant, MSW Consultants. They are a consulting firm that does solid waste rate analysis type work, utility cost of service work. Well, this is the second time we've used them. And so we hired them, we went through the whole process of estimating our costs, or quantifying our costs, looking at the separation of right when we started this right when we separated. So we're looking at the past cost of just collections for Logan City, then just going into the future, just Logan City only collections and dropping the county. Then identifying different areas and who should cost, what users should pay for what facilities and what costs. So this is the same presentation for those of you that are on the Solid Waste Advisory Board that the mayor and Mark, you've sat through this before, so I'll go quick.
It's so interesting, though. I'll watch it again.
Okay, so we have basically 4 processes: collection, we got collections, the disposal, we got recyclables, and the green waste compostables. Then the administration of all those is basically what makes up our 570 fund. The Logan only collection services comprise of basically 3 services: our curbside residential services, our front load commercial dumpster services, and our roll-off large container bins for commercial entities and for temporary construction needs. Then the facilities, and these are shared facilities, as in the entire county and all the citizens of the county still utilize these facilities, whether it's their hauler still brings it to us, and then we dispose of the land at the landfill. So the transfer station, the transfer hall, the scale house, the North Valley landfill, we typically process around 400 tons a day at the landfill currently at North Valley. The existing Logan landfill, where we're still disposing of C&D material, and the new household hazardous waste facilities, and the compost facilities. And this now encompasses 2 facilities, the one adjacent to the new wastewater treatment plant and the old green waste facility next to the landfill. So all those facilities are shared with the county citizens, and we still accept waste from them and materials.
Can I ask one question?
Go for it. Just break it whenever you want.
Do any of the now organizations that are collecting for the county residents collect green waste?
Yes.
And do they bring the green waste at no charge to the green waste facility today?
Currently, yes, they do.
Thank you.
So that is one of the items that we proposed to change. But yes, so Smithfield still offers green waste services, and the Cache Consortium, a number of these cities within that hired waste management still offer green waste services. I don't know the entirety of which cities have dropped it or increased it, or I don't know that, but we still get trucks from both those entities.
And part of this new rate structure is to help incentivize them in separating the green waste and, making the effort to collect that, and because it does keep it out of the landfill, and then we can recycle it, so he'll address that.
Yeah, so in general, our policy, which Rich likes, is we don't incur debt for any of the capital improvements, landfill closures. We try to generate enough revenue ahead of time that we're not going into debt or bonding situations for infrastructure. Quick look at our budgets or funds from the last couple of years. Note that our numbers may be a little different from what we were actually budgeted this year. We did this in January before the mayors and the whole budget approval process went through. So we started at that point, 14.3 million. The budget you just seen might be a little different, but this is the numbers the consultant used. So you can see we dropped quite significantly in revenue and expenses. Number of routes we reduced from eliminating the county. Most of it's on the residential side. We were at 40. Now we're down to 15 routes. So 63% change. Not a lot of change in the front load services. We did eliminate some, but most of the residential recycling, curbside green waste, and the garbage is our biggest reduction. So a reduction of almost half of our fleet.
But our revenue only goes down 30%.
Correct. Because part of that revenue, or the collection of that, was for the disposal of the landfill, at the landfill. And we're still disposing of that waste. Somebody else is hauling it, and we're still disposing of it. So everything that they take and put into this rates for operation is basically equipment costs, employee costs, and capital costs. So here is a 10-year projection of equipment vehicle replacement. So this is for landfill equipment and for collecting vehicles. So right around, we typically average around $1 million to $1.5 million in annual replacement costs for equipment.
So
Then,
why the huge spike in '29?
so we have like a 10-year plan where we know we're kind of going to replace all these vehicles eventually, but out about 4 or 5 years, it kind of gets fuzzy of maybe we can get another year out of that vehicle. Maybe we're going to have to replace it a year early. So we know they're coming, but we try to keep it at an average. So if we can keep a piece of a vehicle longer, it's going to go into the next year. So if we don't have to replace a dozer, or if we, sell equipment. So that 2029,
Everything breaks at once.
everything breaks at once. But hopefully that would average out over the
That's why the red line's there to show you what it costs over the whole.
And Paul's shop doesn't fix those?
Yes.
Then, just remember, like one piece of landfill equipment, like our trash compactor, that's $1 million. It's about $950,000 for one piece of equipment.
Well, the chipper was
The
really
chipper was
expensive.
$1 million. We're looking with this new grant for the compost facility at a new windrow turner. It's $850,000. That's one piece of equipment.
Okay.
So the collection trucks, they've gone up there around $260,000 a year, but one piece of landfill equipment can really sway this.
It's not like replacing Alan's Camry.
We estimated our 10-year capital improvement project. They go in and then they take the 10-year average of the capital improvement. So this is some of the items that will be coming up, and with a current best guess of where we're going to be sitting when these actually happen and the cost. So more closure, improvements at the North Valley landfill, possibly C&D transfer station for when we have the Logan landfill completely closed and have to begin transferring that waste. Additional compost capacity, and then more cells at the North Valley landfill.
So are you going to open the North Valley landfill?
That is a good question. That's the real question. So currently, there's not been any discussion on that.
I thought that was part of the agreement we had in the beginning.
Part of the agreement is we would transfer all the waste to the North Valley landfill, and it would be closed to the public. So once the Logan landfill closes, we're going to have an additional 100 tons a day of C&D material that we'd either have to potentially open or petition the county to change the conditional use permit to allow us to direct haul. But as it is, the conditional use permit is we're not allowed to send customers over there. Somewhere in the middle would probably be the best, where we bulk the small loads, and if somebody has a large demolition, like that mall project, for example, it's already on a send that directly out there. But if you have a roll-off, transfer it. You could reduce the traffic and save costs.
But we wonder if the communities in the north may choose at some point to approach the county and say, could we have our waste haulers go directly to North Valley?
And that's kind of where we left off the conversation. That kind of was about the time we split with the county for waste services. So that conversation's kind of been on hold, but that's where we left it out, that maybe those northern communities would see the benefit and the reduced cost.
So if they do see that benefit, then you would have to sooner, because that's in '26, you would be.
Yeah, so we would be
incurring those
looking
costs.
to improve that, because currently we have a small scale out there, but it is not automated. We couldn't take payments or track loads coming in there, so before we could allow direct haul to North Valley, we'd have to have a way to charge for loads and take transactions out there.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Landfill closure cost goes into this, 10-year average, and no, this was a snapshot in January. As the Logan landfill closes, the closure cost on the Logan landfill diminishes, and as we open new cells at the North Valley landfill, the closure cost increases as we open up more area. So they take all those numbers and the 10-year average of the improvements and the equipment and closure costs, and they generated the following numbers. So the full cost of service, if you're taking those 10-year averages, is $15.4 million. And they're estimating with our reduced collection base that our current rate revenue would be around about 12.7, so we're a little bit short. And so if you look at the two graphs, the collections, that would be the Logan only portion for the collection system. Then the facilities would be the shared facilities, so the landfill side of it. So they are recommending that we do increase our rates. We haven't increased our rates for 2018, and just some quick numbers. A equipment operator that was running a collection truck in 2018, we were paying him around $35,000 annual salary. This year, we're paying that same individual $52,000 in annual salary.
Plus benefits.
Plus benefits, and benefits have increased significantly.
Yeah.
Fuel, when we did this study, our fuel at the landfill, bulk fuel is $2.54 a gallon for diesel. And in the past 6 years, we've gone over $4 a gallon for diesel, and currently we're about at $3.50 per gallon. And so everything that we operate at the landfill and the collection truck runs on diesel, and so it's a big portion. So the recommendation from the consultant and with the help of the staff there is a 50-cent increase on the residential collection fees. So the 90-gallon can that was at $17.65, that would go at $18.50. So the first column there is the current rate. Next column is what the estimated cost is, then the recommended rate. And you'll notice on the green waste, the full rate cost is $6, but the recommended rate is $4, and that is again to incentivize green waste, and the difference is paid or collected in the black van service, so the regular garbage service.
Offsets your cost.
So that's a 50 cent per household increase there.
Can I ask a question? In 18, when we did a rate adjustment, do you see a number of people dropping down from a 90 to a 60? Was there any corresponding?
I don't see really.
Because my brain is going, I don't need an AC. I don't need more. With two of us.
My wife will be hungry.
So we don't see a lot of change really. I mean, people either they make the switch once. It's really not driven by rates. They say I don't need that much anymore, or they got a 60 when they moved in and they just kept the 60. We don't really see a lot of movement there.
So when we implemented the 60-gallon can, there was some apartment units that were interested to have, because they had smaller, size family, like students and things like that. But lately, some of the apartment complexes we're seeing coming up are more than 2 units or 4. Yeah. They are 20 or so, or even bigger than that. They use a front load. They no longer use the 60 gallons. So it just became still available, but not well used.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I add those numbers up, if you are currently getting a green waste can, the rate increase is actually a decrease.
Correct.
You're down $1.
You're going down.
But isn't
Yeah.
it?
You're going down
isn't it
50 cents what you pay.
$4 this year?
Yes,
We already
that's
had
the
the
last column.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we already,
Yes.
But you already did that.
the
Yes.
green one
Yeah.
is only.
Yeah.
Yeah, so currently you would pay $22.65 if you had a green waste container, but with the rate increase, you would
You would
pay
actually pay-
$22.15.
If you had a green can, and that is part of the promotion
That's
of
the incentivize people to do the green
Keeping that
waste.
out of the landfill then.
Okay.
This next slide here, this is just a comparison of what other citizens in the valley are paying for the same services. So
That's why they're all so happy that we separated, right?
that is correct.
Depends who you ask.
So East is very pleased with his service with waste management.
Wow.
I am the same way too, so. I'm in the Willsville, the $21 category, so I'm a little better off in the East.
So I assume Smithfield, Richmond, and Lewiston are all the same, because it's a different carrier.
So Smithfield, Lewiston, Richmond are the same carrier. I do not know. Some of them has posted on their websites what their rates are, and some don't. So we just took what was from the website.
Okay.
I mean, I compare it with parents.
Now, cities can set whatever rate they want. I mean, they negotiate a contract
They negotiate a contract with
with
the,
Econo Waste or whomever.
yeah,
but-
then they can add whatever they want on for management of their service. So that's where you see the difference. Because I believe that everybody in that consortium got the same rate.
And some of them purchase their cans, like Providence, Smithfield, and some of the other cities in the north, they own the cans. Whereas North Logan, Weathersfield, Hyde Park, they don't own the cans. So that may be also a factor.
So Waste Management owns the cans in
Yes.
those cities?
Yeah, so when we surplus the equipment, we surplus the trucks and the cans to Waste Management.
So the reason you see Smithfield higher, they're paying for the cans.
That makes sense, yeah.
Then on the commercial rate, they recommended a 15 to 25% increase depending on the dumpster size. It's mostly the smaller dumpsters, like the 2-yard dumpsters. We have found that most of the cost there is going to it. And so the rate there needed to come up 25%. The 4 and the 6 yards that most people use were a 15% increase. Then for the roll-off services, our current rate's $126 per pool. They suggested $182 to cover that full rate cost. Then for a temporary service to pay for the front end, opening accounts, closing accounts, scheduling it on a temporary basis, it's common practice in the industry to charge a little more for a temporary bin. So that's the suggestion at $225.
Is a pull, does that mean when they come and get it?
Yes, so this is,
Sorry.
a pull fee is per pull, every time we pull it out of your house.
Oh, okay.
So pull and dump or pull and.
So that is just so on a roll-off, the way the rates are set up is we have a haul fee, then you pay the associated tonnage at the landfill.
Okay.
All the other services, the dumpster service and the curbside services, you don't pay any disposal fee. That is incorporated in your collection rate.
Okay.
So a roll-off would be $182 plus whatever associated tonnage.
So a roll-off is,
The big
30
ones
yards,
back of
40
the
yards,
truck.
it's the one that
they're the
comes.
huge ones?
Yes.
Okay.
They roll off the back of the truck.
drop it
They're
off.
what I use when I.
The front loader, like what you see in the picture.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Just kidding. I couldn't.
That is really
Then
clean.
moving on to the landfill,
30-yard last year. Is that my yard?
our current rates, we have 2 current rates, and this is one of the big changes we're making at the landfill, is we have a rate for C&D, which is lower, and one for 34 MSW, or municipal solid waste is what that stands for curbside waste and commercial waste. We're proposing to make that one rate regardless of what type of waste it is, because in the near future, we're going to be handling it all the same by transferring it to
Okay.
the North Valley landfill. So In the past, we did give a little bit of a break on the C&D waste, assuming that we didn't have to handle it through a transfer station. That was handled less
Direct. Okay.
but now the suggestion is there. If you look at that little chart on the bottom corner, that's other regional landfills, and you'll notice that's pretty much the standard. Bountiful, Weaver County, all of them are charging the same rate for regardless. Then if you'll notice, green waste facility, we're currently at $0 per ton. We are the only landfill in northern Utah that still accepts green waste for free. So our proposal is to charge $25 a ton, and with that would be an associated $10 per load fee, minimum fee if you have less than a ton.
Oh, so we're not covering our full cost though at these rates?
Not quite, but it's a significant jump at once.
Okay.
We do have quite a bit of reserves that we can, and we've put off a bunch of capital. So if you looked at those, the equipment and the capital improvements, we've tried to shift that capital and some of those equipment purchases later so that our operating costs in the first couple years are going to be lower. So, but when we do increase the rates and we do generate that revenue, we're caught back up when we actually do the project. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room within our budget that we can do that. We have enough in reserve, and we can move those capital projects and some of that equipment purchase a little later and hopefully make that work. So one of the proposals there is to increase it to $40 in fiscal year 27.
Rich loves wiggle room in budgets, right?
Yeah.
Only when it's in his favor.
So with the proposed changes there, we get really close. Our full cost of service is $15.4 million. Our recommended rate, or our estimated rate revenue would be 15. So almost, there's just a slight difference when with growth and for rate projections. It's kind of hard, but we would be really close with those changes. So at the landfill, there'd be an increase of the tipping fee to $38, then in 2 years up to $40. The minimum fee that most citizens pay if you just have a pickup load, which is currently $10, would go up to $15. The green waste loads, which is currently free, would now be
$10.
$25 per ton for the larger loads and $10 per load for a pickup. And so since the split, before we split with the county, we were getting 50 cents per household countywide to pay for the green waste facility. And since we have split and no longer provide collection services, we don't receive any of that. So the outlying communities in the county are using the green waste facility for free currently, and we're not generating any revenue or collecting any revenue.
So had we not separated, you said that you were trying to push for a rate increase. Is this comparable then to what would have happened if we hadn't separated even? I'm just curious.
It would have been comparable. We would have had to look at the green waste. I mean, where we had control of the whole collection system, we could continue to maybe instead of 50 cents per household, $1 per household, and let the tipping fee alone. But so because we had more mechanisms for collecting revenue at collection or at tipping fee. So we would have been close to the same spot, but there would have been some nuances in how we collected it.
Given whether the authority that dictated
would have approved it.
Would have
Yes,
approved
I
it.
understand.
Yeah.
And the other thing, these proposed rate increases for the tipping and the green fees, Logan residents will be paying the same as other county residents. So we will be essentially charging our trucks, the same amount for tipping fees. So
Yeah.
Again, that was one concern when we separated, that, we might charge county residents a lot more, but we agreed that we keep those rates the same. So again, the Logan collection fees will also.
And so that was the 50-cent increase on the collection fee. The driver of that was we raised the tipping fee, the gate rate to 38, and so to make Logan City pay the gate rate At the 38, the new fee, that's equal to 50 cents.
So if somebody takes a truckload of cardboard out to landfill, do they currently pay? Will they have to pay?
So that's currently free, recycle is free, and it would stay that way.
Okay.
Then the household hazardous waste, which is another big cost to us, we accept any household chemical, and we kept that citywide and countywide. They bring that down to us, and we have to dispose of it by either incineration or recycle it, and it's all hazardous. So, you know, we have to have a company come in and take that from us. So to pay for that, part of that $38 a ton tipping fee is to continue to offer that service for free.
Keeps it out of our sewer system.
Keeps it out of the gutter, yes.
Or buried in the backyard?
Yeah.
Or on the shore of the Bear River?
And a lot of surprises come when people pass away, then their kids go to clean out their house and say, what do I do with all this stuff? I got a bunch of pesticides that I don't think is legal anymore.
Dynamite?
We have got some very interesting things. So we got some
chlorine.
We've got chlorine before. We've got I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was just a couple weeks ago. It was ammonia, or I lost it. Anyway, it's it reacts with water and expands with water. So we got a container of this. I think it was ammonia. I can't remember what the name of it was. We looked it up, but yeah, it was quite explosive when it was stuck in water.
Oh my God.
Exciting.
So that's pretty much all of it. Most of this is driven by increasing costs since 2018 to labor, equipment. Then this is just to continue to operate a state-of-the-art service for the citizens of the county and Logan City, that we can continue to have that transfer station, the North Valley landfill, and the facilities that people can use and keep our community clean.
So the reason for the rate increase is not because we separated. The reason, I just want to be clear, it's not, it's because costs have increased across the board, gas,
And so regardless if we had
personnel.
separated
Yep,
or
okay.
not, we would be coming and asking for an
Okay.
increase. And it would be different because you have more customers, and, you know, it would be more like the rates in the old system where we could rely more on collection fees and less on the landfill. But now where the landfill is open to everybody, we need to have the landfill really stand alone and pay for its own self. And so that's why you see the larger increase on the landfill and the facilities that the whole county can use, and less on the collections.
I thought they were very complimentary of our facilities and our foresight, what we have in place, and the ability that we have to take care of our customers into the future. I thought they were very, very complimentary, so I thought they did a great job on the rate study, but nice job to Solid Waste for doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we did take these proposed rates to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, and they did approve them. So now we're bringing them here. Any more
When would
questions?
these go into effect?
What's that?
When would the new rates go into effect if they're?
So it is in the proposed
So there are
rate
three
schedule.
different effective dates.
Yes.
September is the effective date for landfill and collection. January is the effective date for green waste. And we pushed that back so that at least this green waste season is over and everybody will adjust to it. And we will start charging 2025.
Okay.
And then 2027 fiscal year, the other one.
The second would go to 40.
To 40.
To 40, okay.
I think it's just fair that everybody in the county pays the same.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to pay the same. Whoever's using it, we got to pay the same amount, so.
Yep.
Other questions for Tyler and Lisa? Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple weeks. That ends our workshop items for tonight. Are there any other considerations from council members for this evening? Just a reminder, Pioneer Day is next Wednesday, and if you come to the parade, you'll get to see our smiling faces in the old-fashioned fire truck.
What time is the parade?
Noon.
So hot.
So, yeah. I think next year they're going to go to 10 a.m. I've been encouraging that. They didn't quite get it, the change made this year.
A little cooler.
Yeah. And then there are activities all day at Willow Park.
Don't they do North Logan first?
Well,
The fire truck does.
that was the reason that they had it later, because other communities do it, but it's like, it's just so hot. You just need to make the change, and people may need to choose which one they do.
Too hot.
Richard, you had it in consideration?
Just one item, just to bring to council's attention, we are changing our utility billing payment portal. This is just something that comes up periodically. People will have to learn to use a new one. However, the reason we're changing it is to make it more secure and to give people more payment options. However, in the short term, it's going to be a pretty big hiccup, particularly for those people who do recurring payments, because they're going to have to reestablish that later. So anyway, just making sure council's aware, we're going to do all we can to mitigate that hiccup. It happens on August 1st. We're trying to get the word out, but we're trying to do it carefully and strategically, because if we send out a giant announcement saying, hey, it changes on August 1st, and if we send out that announcement today, tomorrow a bunch of people are going to call and want to change their utility billing systems over, we can't. It doesn't happen until August 1st. So we're getting the information out, but we're really going to get the information out immediately after the change.
So can you waive late fees for the month of August for online bill payment in case people can't figure it out?
We will work with people. We don't want to put out a blanket, we're going to waive everything.
No,
But
I know.
we're going to work with people, because it'll be very, very clear if they had an issue.
Okay.
So
if I had.
As long as we're sensitive, as long as we're
So if we had
sensitive.
automatic set up, automatic payment systems, you have to go in and recreate a new account.
you do.
Okay.
I'm assuming we'll get an email.
You will get, if you're on recurring payments, you're going to get a phone call and
Please
you're
don't
going
do
to
that.
get an email.
Okay.
Just email me.
And here's the problem.
I don't
So
want to
it doesn't sound like fraud, we're not going to say, hey, get on this website, call this number. Instead, we're going to say, go to our city website, go to the place you normally make your payment, and the instructions will be there.
Okay.
Is it going to be
It's
your
just hard.
reassuring voice on the phone, or are we outsourcing that?
Absolutely.
Can we get that to happen?
Increases people's temperature and
Worth
blood
it.
pressure.
More payment options.
More payment options.
Good. Bitcoin?
Definitely.
I'll keep waiting one day.
I can't remember if the current platform was one of the limiting factors on being able to price the use of electricity depending on the time of the day. So this doesn't change.
No. And in fact, we have the capability to do it. It's just a big step, and so we're waiting for a period of time. The billing side is not. That is really the meter reading side. That's a huge issue, because when you go to that stage, you're not just reading once per month. You're reading once per hour, once per 10 minutes, whatever it is, and you're having to keep all that information. On the billing side, it should be fairly easy, but that's going to be a big hurdle. We will get there eventually, though.
Thanks.
Any timeline of when that could happen?
As soon as the electric utility can deal with that kind of workload.
Not your department.
No, I mean, for us, it's easy.
Right.
You get the information to bill it. I mean, it's not easy. There'll be a lot of work. Right. The big work is on their side.
And the new meters are not necessarily.
They're ready to go. They can do it. The new meters can do it. It's just
The
our ability.
software, really.
It's our ability to get that information, to retain it, to compile it, to send it over, and then to be able to answer the customer's questions. And that's a really big step, and the electric department isn't quite ready to take that step yet.
ChatGPT will help.
Yeah.
I think it could.
Can we get Bitcoin and chat?
It is the future. We know it is. It's just, it's probably, let's say, 4 years, 5 years down the road.
So who else is going to the parade? Is everyone going?
Did you have your son coming?
Yes, he is. My wife is going to stay home and read a book. Me and
Make sure you have sunscreen in your hat.
oh, he's so excited.
All right, any other
You guys are all
considerations?
coming?
Yep. I'll be with-
Ernesto?
And you're doing it this year, or are you still on the radio?
Jeannie?
Radio will be done by then, but I have another
You'll be
commitment
there?
out at
Where?
The parade?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We're
I'll
supposed
see
to
if
wear
I can
like
make it.
mascots,
I think I gotta be out there.
costumes or something?
Mask.
Yes.
I'll show up in my
Yes,
mask. My
Pioneer,
Batman
Pioneer
outfit.
costumes. Yes.
Are there t-shirts around this year or not?
I don't know, it doesn't seem like people normally want them, so.
Okay. so
Do you want t-shirts? Do you want me to?
What would they say?
Well, they're just
They
Logan
usually
Parks
say
and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
I mean, they do have a sign,
City Council.
they have a sign on the board that's on
Bring my prairie dress and
the truck that says city council.
Yeah.
Would you like a personalized t-shirt?
I could wear my t-shirt from last year
That will work.
All right,
if I want to.
Okay, get out of here.
sounds good. All right, any other considerations?
Sure, my son will, because he's
If none, we are adjourned.
just a parade from last year. He pulls out his t-shirt all the time. He's like, that was fun. And I asked him today, I was like, you want to go back to the parade? He's like, I wear my t-shirt. I was like,